We continue to honor and celebrate Black history, and our guests this morning are giving you an opportunity really to be a leader. If you want your voice to be heard, your opinion to be heard, and we're talking about all throughout Georgia to really make a change, this is what you need to tune into. Here with us are Melvin Coleman and Michelle Glover with the Atlanta Black Chambers. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you
for having us. Yeah, okay. So first, let's just talk about what is the Black Chamber?
So we're an organization of entrepreneurs based here in Atlanta, but our membership extends or expands across the world, actually, because Atlanta is an international city.
Okay.
So we support and assist entrepreneurs to take their business endeavors to that next level.
Okay.
The only thing about Atlanta, the entrepreneur population is very significant. In fact, the entrepreneur experience is a big part of the ATL experience. So the demand for what we offer is huge because of the city of Atlanta.
And there really are a lot of people who try to be business owners here in our city, which is really cool. So why is it important for them to get involved?
Well, entrepreneurs, business owners, they need a trusted, reliable source for information, access to resources, exposure for their business, exposure for their brand.
Yeah.
And so to be connected to the Atlanta Black Chambers is to be in the know. You don't want to miss on a wonderful program or some resources that have been made available. And so when you are connected to the chamber, you find out consistently all the information that you need to know. And this is very important.
Okay. And for Whip.
All right. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for jumping in. Welcome to the Power Hour, where the hour shall come and the power continues. My name is Ricardo Berris. I'm the chair of the Global Opportunities Committee of the Atlanta Black Chambers, and our business is international. We work with our members and our community to facilitate global opportunities, whether that's in trade, partnership, or investment. If there is an interest in doing business in another space outside of Atlanta or outside of the US, I would assume, we can certainly help to connect you with various opportunities around the world. Today is one of those days where we're pretty excited to be talking to two individuals who we got an opportunity to meet while we were touring Europe, and they have been really just nothing but stellar in terms of really helping us to understand what's actually happening in France, and so we're gonna be getting started and talking to them. But a few housekeeping: this session is actually being recorded and it will be available on YouTube a little later. If you are actually interested in watching that, please go to YouTube, follow us. You'll see some of the links that we have in the chat. By the time we are done here at the end of our hour, we're going to be asking you to take a small survey. We'd love to hear from you, love to know how the Power Hour is serving you, and if it's helpful, if you're getting good information, and that's great. We'd love to know that. Also, we're going to be spotlighting, as usual. I'd love to spotlight two of our GOC members. So if you are here, if you're hearing and you'd like to talk a little bit about your business, and particularly if it has any semblance of connection to France, it doesn't matter, but we would certainly love to hear from you. Message me. You can private message me in the chat and let me know if you'd like to come on stage. I'll open the floor for you for about 90 seconds to introduce yourself and to talk about your business. That's one of the benefits of being a member, because we want to make sure we're highlighting and focusing on our member. So without further ado, we're going to go right in. And actually, my guests are Désirée Wilkerson and Carolina. Carolina and Désirée are two fantastic women that they have history both with US and South America. Morning, guys. How are you doing? I'd love for you to come off mute and just take you one at a time to introduce yourself, and maybe we'll start with Carolina. Carolina, go ahead. Carolina, we're not hearing you at all, so I'm not hearing you. We're not hearing you. So I think while she's getting that piece ready, one of the interesting things when I was in Paris, so as you may know that part of the European trip was to go to Paris, and we did France and Germany and we did the Netherlands. So in Paris, as we went into Paris, we were able to really connect with some sort of the heart of the French America community, if you may, or the African America African French community there in Paris. And I thought it was beautiful because I was exposed to some of the areas where it had history, but it also have a great future in terms of what to look forward to. Are you guys ready now? Do you guys have is it working?
Ricardo, can you hear me?
Yes, so let's go ahead now. Thank you. Let's go ahead now with an
Thank you.
intro. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Ricardo. Hi, everyone. My name is Carolina Niso. I'm a French-Colombian cultural journalist. I have double nationality. I lived in New York before, and I had been connected to Ricardo and the American Caribbean Chamber of Commerce since we met in Colombia. Now we had the opportunity to meet again in France. It has been a wonderful experience to reconnect in this country that is my second country, and I can share my experience with you. When I arrived in France, I didn't speak the language, and then I learned, and then my kids born here, and then I started a new life here that it allows me to create my new brand company. It's a self-employed company that is the name Niso Communication and Culture. I do journalism, I do press, I do communication, I do translations and press public relations. And it's fantastic to have the opportunity to be in both countries.
Awesome. Thank you, Désirée. Folks, we're going to ask you to keep your mic on mute, so that we can have a great conversation. Désirée, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself? Yeah, seems like we're having a difficulty hearing you. Maybe we need to go back to the other computer, Désirée, because I'm not hearing you at all. And we need to be able to hear. We need to be able to hear you. No, we're not hearing anything. No, it's not. We're not hearing. So maybe we can try to fix that, guys, because we're not. I'm not hearing anything. I'm not hearing any audio at all from your end. So we apologize, guys. I think we were trying to get this this audio piece. Technology can be a beast sometimes, but we'll give them a few seconds to work it out. So maybe I can share a little bit more about sort of my story as I was in France. What I really loved, I had an opportunity to dine at a restaurant that I was introduced to called La Petite Dakar, and it's a restaurant that's owned by a Senegalese couple or family. And what was interesting to me is that they had spent about 8 years in that space, building that restaurant. And if I'm not mistaken, it's been one of the struggles that they share with me when we were at the restaurant, how challenging it is for underrepresented folks, Black business owners to really take advantage of what's actually happening and get the support really of what's actually happening inside the community. So I was very, very curious, but one of the things that came out of that experience was how the kind of excellence that we saw in that operation. And I thought that this was really, really beautiful because oftentimes the assumption is that we don't have the capability or the capacity, and that's a myth, really. And we can essentially do anything that we put our minds to. So I was very impressed with the experience that we had at the restaurant, and I was just curious as to why wasn't there more support for initiatives like those. But unfortunately, Marie, which is the owner, she wasn't able to come to this conversation, but I thought it was really an interesting experience. And then you will hear a little bit more about how we ended up meeting Marie and how Marie's then connected. But we do also have, for example, there is a fashion sort of a marketplace. As you know, Paris is almost sort of the fashion capital. And we went to a fashion marketplace, and Désirée will share a little bit more about that experience. But these guys literally sort of position your brand. If you are in fashion, they position your brand into that market space so that others can have an experience in learning more about your brand and purchase your fashion. So if you are in the fashion business, and it would be nice to hear if you're in the fashion, you can share that in the chat. That's all good and fine. But if you're in the fashion business, I think one of the things that we saw is the interest that is available to really help to promote and expose those folks that are actually into fashion. And that's one of the things that Désirée do. Are we good, Désirée? Can we go now?
Yes.
All right, please go ahead, Désirée. Dying for you to say hello and introduce yourself.
Sorry, everyone. Hello, my name is Désirée Wilkerson. I was born in Florida. So I'm an American living in Paris, and I've been here for over 20 years. And I work in the fashion industry. So I'm an international fashion business specialist. My specialty is in wholesale, so it's B2B, business to business. And I sell ready-to-wear collections to companies, stores all over the world. And just to backtrack, so I did part of my studies here in France, and this is why I'm here today. So this is my connection to France, okay? And as I said, I'm bilingual, so I'm English, French completely. And so my specialty is that I work with, for instance, let's say Saks Fifth Avenue comes to Paris Fashion Week, and they want to buy, let's say, a collection from Chloe. So what my job is, and other people like me who do the same, is what we promote and present the ready-to-wear seasonal collections to a wholesale buyer. And we give them advice on colors, the trends of the season. We work with the budgets of the clients, because each client has a budget that the brand will set for them, a target, and we try to reach that goal at the same time promoting the commercial strategy of the brand to build a collection and hopefully to have a successful selling season when the collection is on the floor in the store. And that's one of my roles, one of the jobs that I do as a wholesale specialist here in Paris.
Yeah, thank you, Désirée. That's very interesting. We'll come back to that a little bit, but I wanna kind of talk to you guys about so let's paint a little picture of some of the spaces that we went in in Paris. Particularly, I want to talk about the restaurant, which is Black owned, and then also that international space. And you were the one, Désirée, who introduced and how. Tell us a little bit about how you discovered those spaces, and tell us a little bit about those spaces, if you may.
Okay, how I discovered these spaces is that I'm also, as an African American living in Paris, I always trying to find a connection to, of course, a cultural connection. And I love going to African restaurants, and it's just one of the ones that I know. It's called the Le Petit Dakar, and the owner is Marie. And as you came to Paris, Ricardo, and you wanted to connect to this type of cultural experience, so this is where I took you. And I love this restaurant. It's a great place to be. And also for the second place we went, it was a concept store called the Union Internationale de la Jeunesse, Youth International, Union of the Youth International. And it's a concept store founded by this young African man named Youssef. And what he does is he highlights emerging designers to give them a platform to sell their goods. And it's a cultural space that's in Barbès. So it's in the, I don't know if you can say, it's in a working class neighborhood. And it's a working class neighborhood where a lot of people from West Africa and North Africa live. So he's put it in I don't know if we should say that, if it's culturally correct to say it, in the hood. But it's a beautiful cultural space that you can go to, and everyone can see beauty and see what young designers are capable of, and network. There's a cafe, there's an exposition space. And these are places that I like to go. These are places that I like to know in Paris. It's very important, I think, to have that African businesses have visibility.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's very interesting, and we'll talk a little bit about culture because you mentioned the area, which is Barbès, and I know we'd learned a little bit of the history of that area and how it's very representative of the African French or French African, if you may, that lives and work inside that area. So I want to talk a little bit about that area as well. Caroline, I want to go to you because you are also French, but you are also Hispanic, and that's a very interesting, if you may, sort of cultural mix. How do you? Let's start with you on culture. How do you manage sort of this sort of cultural dynamics? What's your experience from a cultural perspective? You're a writer, you're a journalist. By the way, Caroline, as a translator, if you need to translate anything into French, she's the person to actually help you. She's an interpreter. So she's done some amazing work in the arts space as well. But I want to hear a little bit about your cultural experience in France.
Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you very much. Well, I arrived in France not speaking the language, as I said it before. And then I learned the language, but I always keep connected to the Latino community. So actually, I contact right away the Colombian consulate in Paris, and I stay connected to the community, to the activities, to whatever they are doing. And just to tell you, on Friday, I'm doing an exhibition. My father was an artist with the Colombian consulate in Paris. So my connection with my Colombian people and with the Latino people is always there. I have been, I had the opportunity to see them growing because I met a lot of Latino people who arrived many years ago, and they had been, expanding their business, learning a lot of things, studies. And they don't have a specific place in Paris to live, but most of them stay connected for business, restaurants a lot, dancing, different kind of events to always keep going, as a community. So it's amazing that France has been good, very good to immigrants from Latin America, and there is no problems. And also I feel the same for the African people are well, received and good connections, there is no problems for that. I really believe that is not borderlines, or at least with Latino community, I feel that we're all welcome. And with the Africans, I see as well that is history between France and Africa that keep strong relations, you know, and that African people feel like Latino people part of France. So I feel happy to be part of this.
Thank you. How did you two got connected? How did you both got connected?
Well,
Through
this is a
our
beautiful story.
children.
Our boys met at the gardery, at the kindergarten. Exactly. And we became friends right away. And at that moment, my French wasn't good. So I was coming from New York. So perfect to have my American friend close to me. We were neighbors.
Yes.
And now we're sisters. Actually, I can tell you that we're sisters. I love her so much.
Yes.
She's a very good friend.
And that's amazing. And so Désirée, sort of, what's your experience on the culture side? Talk a little bit about your experience on the culture and your understanding of the culture. What is it like to be an African American or an African living in France? Is that the same experience you're having as Carolina? Can you speak a little bit about your own experience from a culture perspective?
From a cultural perspective, I know as an American, African American living in Paris, we do not have the same experience as an African in Paris or a North African in Paris. And it's, I mean, culturally, it's been easy for me to integrate here. It's easy to connect with others because it's the American aspect of everyone's fascinated by Americans. French have a love American, anything that's dealing with American culture, movies, this is, well known. And so when you say you're American, it opens the door to a lot more possibilities, coming from United States.
That's interesting. So you are drawing sort of a distinction between a French American or an African American and
Yes.
an African,
Yes.
essentially.
Mhm.
And you had talked about the Barbès. Can you talk a little bit about that area and sort of why that cultural alignment is does exist now in Paris? Because Barbès is an area that you said is essentially sort of is it the capital? Am I right to say it's kind of like the capital of the Africans, if you may?
Yes, exactly. It is the capital. This is the part of the city where they migrated to. It's the working class area. So it's a working class neighborhood, as well as being a touristic neighborhood because we have the Montmartre that's there. And this is where you go to have also, if you want to go and have an outfit made, this is the neighborhood you go to buy your fabrics, to buy African fabrics. You have the African couturier, to make your outfit for you. It's a lot of activity going on. A lot of people from the African continent have their businesses. They have stores. This is where people go to, to buy products from the continent and from different places all over the world. This is the area you want to go to if you want to have an African experience in Paris or in France. Definitely.
Yeah. No, that's great. So Barbès is a space to know if you ever want to sort of get
Yes.
connected in the community.
Yes.
That's a space to be. Yes.
Yes, definitely.
And let's go back to business in terms of because the cultural dynamics is very interesting that you're saying, but let's talk a little bit about the business. So you're in the fashion space, and you've got 2+ decades in the fashion industry, working with textile and fashion, and you're essentially connecting brands. You're connecting brands to retailers, essentially, right? Talk a little bit about that. I mean, what made you wanted to do that for your career?
What made me want to do it is when I finally decided to move to Paris. I have an artistic background, so an artistic soul, as we say, and fashion was the place for me to give me the opportunity to explore and kind of like find myself, the artistic part of me. And my job, as I was explaining, is to, yes, we have the brands. I can work for different brands, and retailers will come to brands because they want to people like clients who have, I work in the luxury fashion industry. So, you know, they want to have the number one or the top 20 brands in their store. So they come to us to buy collections, to represent the collection in their store, and to have also clients coming into their space and generating money. So it's businesses generating money for one another.
Yeah, that's interesting. And how, so for those who are on the call who may be in the fashion space or may know someone in the fashion space that's got a brand in the fashion, sort of walk me through sort of that that process. How does it actually work? If does it make sense to launch a business into France, or does it make sense to start with connecting with a consultant like yourself to then begin to sort of warm up to the market?
I think my advice would be to launch your business where you are. Start up with the people who are around you, and you get the feedback, how your brand is received amongst the people that it's distributed to. And then coming to France, yes, it's great. France is the capital, Paris is the capital of fashion, as we say. And it's not easy, for sure. It's not easy because as a brand, if you're owner of a brand, it's not easy. You have to, it's the cost of producing a collection, of distributing the collection to the different retailers throughout the, let's say, the US. And then if you want to go international, yes, it's good to come to France. And you also have the trade shows that you can contact. It's a price to be in those shows. It's expensive, but you do have a population of buyers from all over the world who do come here looking for emerging brands. So yes, it is an opportunity. If you want to go global, definitely come into Paris is the place to be. Yes.
Yeah,
It's
so
not going to be easy, but it's definitely, you have a lot of opportunities.
Especially
Yeah.
in the fashion business.
Especially in fashion, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it seems to be sort of a real opportunity for folks who are in the fashion in the fashion space. Are you able to then kind of speak to what's the trend now as it relates to fashion? Like, what sort of fashion are you seeing? If you can talk to a group of businesses in Atlanta or in the US or just here on the call, who may say, I've got shoes, I've got formal wear. Like, can you speak to what, or is it everything?
It's everything, but it depends on the brand. With some of the brands I've worked for, of course, ready to wear, it's what, it's what people want to buy. I mean, what brands want to manufacture is what they want to sell. But in reality, a lot of them only sell the accessories. They sell the bags, they sell the shoes because they're more accessible. They're more democratic. Most people can afford to buy they will save up to buy a name brand bag, or they'll save up to buy a pair of like Tabby Margiela shoes because they saw it on a TikTok story. Going afterwards to buy the ready to wear, it's another concept. It's very expensive in the world that I work in to buy ready-to-wear pieces in the luxury industry. So I would say, as a brand, you have to build a global, homogeneous collection. I would say you have everything ready to wear. Clothing, you have to have the shoes, the bags, the belts. You have to have to be able to, for clients to build a total look. But what works the most in my business is definitely going to be the bags and the shoes. That's what's selling.
The bags and the shoes.
Yes, because most people, I mean, maybe it's moving it slightly away from that, but most people are going to combine a luxury bag with a Zara top or H&M jeans, and they're going to buy maybe a pair of, going to get their LVMH bag and match it with a pair of I don't know, Margiela Tabby shoes, or it's a mix. Now it's a mix. Most people are not buying full on, like the full look from Louis Vuitton. They mix it up. And that's
Yeah.
the term, is mixing up different brands to make your look.
Awesome. I will come back to that because that's very, very interesting. I know there are a couple of people are on the call that are actually in the fashion business, and if it's okay for them, I'm sure they'll have questions. I see already there's a question that's in the chat that we'll get to later around that space. But I want to get to you, Carolina, on I think the piece that's interesting for you is the translation, the helping business to sort of get a claim into the French market from that perspective. So just to be clear, that you facilitate translation, so you can translate for folks into French. And how important is that in terms of localizing your story, localizing your conversation? And you're also a journalist, so you can develop story, you can help to tell story of a brand or a business as well. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Thank you, Ricardo. Yes, I'm a storyteller as well. And the fact that I can speak three languages, English and Spanish and French, it helped me to do translations and to understand the culture. And also, it is very important to speak the language, especially in France, because they need to listen their language. I mean, they are now better in English, a little bit better in Spanish, but France is not the country that speak well different languages, different than other places in Europe. They speak very good English, for example, in Germany or in the north of Europe. But France is moving slowly in the good direction, but they like when people speak their language and understand their culture. So it's really important that, and I think the fact that I can do that for someone, well, it gives me so much pleasure to help, but also to put in context what the person is looking at the French market and what the French market or the French person wants from the person who is offering something. It's really important to be clear, very important to know the right words and to make understandable both parties. Like that, they can do a business or arrive to one point to do connections. And also writing translations. I mean, not just as interpreter, but writing translations. And also something that I told you before, storytelling. I do interviews, so I love to know the life of people. I like to know why did you arrive in France? What is your story? What you can tell me? What is your learning process? What did you do, to be here? So that is very interesting to do. And if somebody wants to know more about it, that we can organize stories, from France that inspire people, because this is what we're all looking for, to inspire ourselves. If we see news, we're most of the time depressed. But when we see, good examples, we feel like, oh my God, there is hope. There is life, there is hope, and there is beautiful things that we can share to other people, not just sad things, So it's good to do this kind of job, to make it, beautiful. And I am in cultural topics, in art topics, and I do art exhibitions. So I told you that I represent my father before, and I'm preparing an exhibition on Friday. So it's just a lot of things going on, but it's nice. And thank you for somebody who say, I love your energy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Carolina's got great energy, and you can't go wrong with being her friend. So Carolina, so you talk about arts, storytelling. You also talk about the translation. So I think those are three things that you could, in terms of an opportunity perspective, that you could help someone. So if you are interested in sort of telling your story, maybe you are planning on launching something in Paris, or maybe you're planning on visiting Paris as a business, she can help you to put together that story. Maybe you have arts and you'd like to be able to then be a part of some exhibition. I believe it's not just your dad that you'll do this for, but you can also arrange and sort of help folks who may have arts that they want to be able to kind of showcase in Paris. You can help and guide them in that respect. I want to come back to you, Désirée, with the question that was posted in the chat. And by the way, folks, if you are on the call and you would like to be spotlighted as a GOC member, that's one of the things that we do to make sure we allow our members to come on stage to talk about their business, because this is an opportunity for you. Always be ready, right, to be able to talk about your business, to be able to talk about what it is that you do, because you just never know. Someone here could essentially be that door that you need, that you need to be able to open for you. So feel free to actually let me know. You can private message me in the chat. But I wanna go to and I notice my colleague Catherine, who I think just came on the call from the French America Chamber of Commerce, and I wanted to say hello and kind of just quickly, Catherine, say hi to you. Catherine was instrumental in also helping us to get connected into France in our trip. Catherine, good morning, and it's good to see you. Thanks for jumping in. I don't mean to pick on you like this, but I just wanted to say hello. Can you talk about the role of the French America Chamber that you have here in Atlanta, and how you are bridging that sort of, if you may, creating that bridge between Atlanta or the U.S. and France?
Sure, yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. I somehow got the information it was 9:30, not 8:30. So I'm so sorry that I'm jumping on late. Not intentional at all. I apologize for just appearing out of nowhere. That was not my intention at all. But no, thank you, Ricardo. That's really kind to welcome me to this call. I just wanted to say I was so glad that I could help in whatever way I could, in terms of, helping to put you in contact with people in France to make the trip possible. So essentially, yeah, the French American Chamber, Atlanta Southeast, our role and mission is clearly to help any French company that's looking to start activity in the US. Sometimes they haven't necessarily already decided what area they want to come to. So if they're thinking about different areas, maybe the West Coast, maybe, the Northeast, we'll clearly try and make them consider Georgia, Atlanta as a great place to look at doing business. And quite often, I would say this area flies clearly under the radar. For people based in Europe, they won't be as familiar with Atlanta as maybe some of the other well-known cities. So part of what I do is to try and, draw their attention to the fact that this is a great place to live, to work, to create, a new business. And then the second part is for the companies that are already here, it's to just help them to develop, expand their networks, find partners, find, develop their business in whatever sense that might be. So it's a role of connecting the right people. It's knowing who needs to talk to who. We leverage a lot of our other connections in Atlanta, so we very much have a French focus, but then we do work with other bilateral chambers, other countries. The international business environment here is thriving, is something that's really dynamic, and I think that also helps, not only the French community, but we all can help each other in that goal of trying to just, generate business and just make it so that everybody can survive and thrive.
Fantastic. Now, thank you, Catherine. And it's great to be in partnership with you guys as we work on really creating opportunities. And it's the other side of the coin, if you may, because we have Désirée and Carolina, who is actually in Paris now talking to us, and they actually are based in Paris. So they're actually helping us to understand, how do you get in Paris if you are an American business, or if you're a business from Atlanta and you'd like to launch your fashion, or you'd like to do an art exhibition, if you'd like to be able to set up a business in France, how do you do it? So these are actual entrepreneurs that are telling us their side of the story, and also telling us how they've been able to do it. And so thank you for jumping in, and hopefully you can stick around with us. We're gonna go to a spotlight now, and I think Cheryl Scales, who is actually into fashion. She's a member of the Atlanta Black Chamber, and she did want to share a little bit about her business, which I'm sure it's exciting and timely. Cheryl, please unmute and tell us who you are. Tell us about your business.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and good evening. Bonjour to my friends in Paris. I've had the chance to be there probably in my lifetime over almost 40 times, but not very recently. I am in the business of creating a shoe experience for women. I help to put a bit of secret confidence inside of your step by creating a line of fashion, half insoles in two styles. One is an American, which is a rounded toe shoe, which is primarily here, and the other is a pointed toe, which I call European. I've always been into fashion and into shoes, and so my Sassy Insoles brand is about to launch in America. Very shortly, I was selected by Amazon a couple of years back as a part of their Black Business Accelerator program. And so they're going to do my fulfillment. So we are pretty close to being able to turn on that light switch for that business. It ships in America only right now. But the reason I wanted to be spotlighted with you all this morning for Paris is because of the design element of this process. And I would like to be able to set up a trip where I can come over and start some of the design process and show you what I do in design, and maybe you can help me coordinate an experience so that I can do that level of production. Because I've been to Ghana and done a design collection, and you don't just start with one. As you all know, when you're in fashion, there's a season. So I've got to be in the PAL, in the plup, in the blup, to be able to do this thing. So that is that's where I am, and that's what I'll need to be connected. So Ricardo, after this, if you could make sure that I have a way to do that, I would greatly appreciate it. It's
No, thank
amazing
you.
to
Thank
meet you
you.
both. And thank
Awesome.
you for
Thank you.
allowing me to
Thank you.
share.
Awesome. Thank you, Cheryl. That was wonderful. Desiree, you are the fashion expert. Do you have any response to Cheryl? I'm sure this might be something that we like connecting people, of course. So I'm sure this might be something that you'd be able to actually help her with. How does she sort of take some of the next steps? What do you recommend for her in her quest?
If I understood her, she wants to come to Paris to get inspiration or design the shoes or sell the brands. I'm not sure if I understood.
For inspiration for the design. I don't plan to sell in Paris yet.
Okay,
It's
inspiration.
only fulfillment in the US at the moment.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
So it's a design inspiration trip.
Okay, so yes, you come to Paris, you walk around, you go to the historical neighborhoods. We also have areas of Paris that was historically African Americans, as we know, lived here. James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, of course, Josephine Baker, and go to the areas where they live to impregnate yourself with the ambiance, the neighborhoods, the smells, and that could be something to organize, like a trip around Paris. You have Paris tour trips that people can take you on, those kind of historical tours around Paris. There can be in English or French. You can also go outside of Paris to get some inspiration. Giverny, where Monet's house is, and beautiful.
I would love to do that. I would love to be connected with you to put the details together. I mean, when I've been to Paris all of those times, truly it's because I'm a music lover. I'm a music lover, so I was always in the jazz clubs through the night.
You're talking to the right person. So Cheryl and Désirée, you have a lot to talk.
My sister's a blues singer here in Paris, so yes, I can.
Amazing.
No problems with that.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
So I look
Well, we'll
forward to
make the
being connected.
connection. We'll make the connection offline, guys, so that you can take it. You can take it to the next level. But just great. We have another person that we want to spotlight, just so that she could talk a little bit about her business. But real quick, Desiree, I wanted to ask you a little bit about sort of as an expert in the fashion, you consult with a lot of brands. What are some of the challenges, and maybe broadly from a business standpoint, that you've seen, and Carolina, you can also chip in here as well. What are some of the challenges that you guys have experienced doing business and working with businesses?
You can start.
Okay, by my side. Okay, I think the first barrier that I found, it was the language. You know, when I arrived, I didn't speak French, so it was a little bit difficult for me. I need to learn French to communicate better. Second thing that I found out, that it was very academic here. You know, like people needed diplomas from France, and I didn't have any diploma from France. I became mother right away. So I was like, oh my God, I didn't study in France, and I was blocking a little bit myself. And then I understood that I could do my path, even if I didn't have a diploma. But, you know, I was a little bit scared about the academic part. And I didn't have a diploma from France. I mean, you know, like I had my diplomas from Colombia and US. So I was like, okay. And then good point, I would say also a good point is like being a mother in France helped me to understand the social system they have. And I found a lot of help. It was not easy to be a Colombian mother of French-Colombian kids in Paris, and I was by myself. You know, the father was working, and I was alone. And I mean, I met Désirée, I met other women. But the state of France helped a lot. And that it was a good point for me. In the social part, I found that it was a lot of, you know, how can I say, people who were around you, guiding you to be a good mother and helping you with the kids. So good points. Other thing, maybe French people at the beginning are not as connected to you easily, like we do it in the US or we do it in Latin America. Like I mean, I live in New York, so I was New Yorker. It didn't matter that I didn't born in New York, but I was New Yorker. Here we're like a Parisians and foreigners.
Yes.
So that was, oh my God, you know, I'm not a Parisian, so I'm a foreigner. And then, you know, starting little by little, I met a lot of people who love me in the neighborhood. And then, you know, they love me. And I understood that it takes time to make French friends. Exactly. But then they're very good people, very loyal people, because when they're good, you know, they're good friends, they're direct. French is like in Emily Paris series. They tell you in the face what they think. They're straight to the point, but they're good people, you know. So I learned a lot of things, and it's good to be like a now French Colombian, keeping my Latino essence, but having all this French also culture now that allowed me to integrate.
Yes.
Awesome. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Désirée, on this?
I agree with Carolina on that. It's also French is very important to speak French. I mean, in the beginning, they know. I mean, it's a bit more democratic now. Like, you know, I know a lot of people who don't speak French that are able to work here. Starting a business here, living in France, of course, you need your visa.
Bureaucratic papers.
Yes, a lot of like bureaucratic papers. And starting a business here, is not very easy. The French government doesn't make it easy to be a business owner, small business owner. So it's a lot of red tape, but you have to persevere. And as Carolina said, I mean, they're more open than they used to be. And if you really want to make it here, you have to work hard. There are steps, and you have to follow those steps. Definitely. I'm just speaking from the fashion world. There are steps that you have to make, and yes.
No, thank you. That's
not always easy.
That's very interesting. And I see, Catherine, I know you might want to put add something to that real quick.
I was just going to, one comment, France has, I think, evolved. I mean, I haven't lived there for many years now, and I think it probably is very different than the time I spent there, but there are certain visas that are available. France is very interested in encouraging people to invest and start companies in France. So particularly, I think if you're more in the tech field, that sort of thing, there are special visas that are available for people that want to start a tech company. There are different initiatives to really encourage that. And I think it is a very bureaucratic country. There's a lot of paperwork. I agree with everything the ladies were saying. But there are things that I think they're trying to make it easier. So maybe not in the fashion industry particularly, but in certain other industries, there might be visas that are available and certain helps, things that people can use to make that process a little bit more manageable.
Yeah. No, thanks for sharing that. And I'm coming up now to you, Femi, who also is a member who is in the fashion business. And Femi, if you can come off mic real quick, introduce yourself and tell us about your business real quick.
Good morning, everyone. Bonjour. And thank you so much for having me, Ricardo, and everyone. So moment of full disclosure, I was in my pajamas. I was I wasn't ready, and Ricardo sends me a DM and says, "Femi, do you want to talk about your brand?" And I was like, "Sure." So I popped on my jacket, on top of my pajamas. So just full disclosure, pajama bottoms under this, glasses and lipstick, really quickly done, because you have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Anyway, my name is Femi Ola. I am the founder of a brand called Ade by Femi, which is a luxury women's wear brand inspired by the strength and sophistication of iconic women across continents. Our designs merge classic tailoring with bold, culturally rich designs and details. We use a variety of fabric, which I'm inspired by, including West African fabric. And we dress women who lead, perform, and take up space unapologetically. Every silhouette is designed to transform and make you feel powerful, just like the women who wear them. And my background is Nigerian and British. I've spent most of my time in both places. I have worked in the legal field for my entire career, oil and gas specifically. I'm a fourth generation lawyer, but clearly I have this creative side. I founded the company here in Atlanta, Georgia, in December of 2021. And since then, it's grown within 9 months. We did New York Fashion Week. We've done Dallas Fashion Week, Atlanta Fashion Week. We're currently, I just got the news last week. Modern Luxury has us as the best local fashion designer in Atlanta for the second year in a row. We've received awards, but what gives me joy generally is dressing women like myself who perform a myriad of roles. Mothers are on stage. I believe every woman is on a stage, regardless of what it is, in the boardroom, at home. We want to look good, feel good, and ultimately perform better. So that's what my brand is about. I would love to take us internationally, ultimately in the long term. Currently, we're online and to be found at pop-ups and events and foundations and conferences. I just concluded a conference with the Association of Black Philanthropy Executives, and that's still ongoing. We did that Monday and Tuesday. So I tend to take my brand to professional organizations where our target clientele is. But ultimately, the plan is to go into the major retailers and boutiques internationally. The stores I grew up going into, the Harrods, Selfridges, Galeries Lafayette. I love Paris. We've done a lot of work with the Alliance Française here in Atlanta. I've done 2 events with them. And I heard someone talking about Paris as inspiration. Even when I have a few hours when I'm flying via Paris, Air France, I will literally walk to, find my way to Palais Royal and just walk around and soak in the atmosphere because it's just a wonderful place to be. And ultimately, the plan is, to take the brand to Paris Fashion Week as well, if we can, and to get our stuff into the retailers there as well. So I appreciate the opportunity to connect with you after this call and see how we can take that further.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Femi. That was great. So guys, we're coming up on the hour, and I want to sort of take any questions that you may have for guest Désirée. I think I wanted to sort of throw this question at you. If you don't sell African clothing, for example, how do you sort of network with the wholesalers? And that sounds like someone who needs to then connect with you as a consultant to help them to then create that opportunity to network with other wholesalers. Am I correct?
Yes. If you, I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. If you don't sell African clothing.
Yeah, I think it's someone posted in the chat. If you don't, I suppose your work does not it's not limited to African clothing. It's not, you can
No, I
essentially
mean,
have any sort of brand that targets
exactly.
anyone.
You
Okay,
can
great.
sell, I mean, living in Paris, I worked with some established brands, of course, but after so many years of plus 25 years, you have the eye, you understand, you see beauty in the pieces, and it doesn't matter if it's an established or an emerging brand. The fact is you see the beauty and the potential, and
Yeah.
that's what's important.
Awesome.
Yes,
Awesome.
and so I would know, the question is, yes, I would know how to work with any brand, maybe it African, European, Latino, Asian. I have the capabilities to give people advice for sure.
And by the
Fantastic.
way, Femi, congratulations for what you are doing. You know, we really love the presentation.
Yes,
That should
fantastic.
be amazing.
Awesome. Now let's go to this sort of one piece of advice that you'd give to the business owners who are on the call. They may be interested in launching something into Paris in the near future. They may be interested in building some partnerships on the ground there. And then also, I think Catherine, for you, thanks for coming, by the way. But it's also speaking to the entrepreneurs who are on the call. Some folks are on the call from Dubai. Some folks are on the call from South Africa. We've got folks from all over the world on the call. And any piece of advice that you can give to them as businesses looking to expand and looking to take advantage of global opportunities. So maybe we'll start with you, Carolina.
Okay, sorry. I will turn it off the volume. Okay, no, I say that, people all over the world are welcome, to come in France and try the luck, like we said it like that. Try your chance, And whatever you do, whatever you want to do, you really need to know, what I said before, know a little bit about the culture, be aware about what they're going to sell or what they're going to present, and then find somebody, if they don't speak French, to do it for them, like how to present the things, be clear in that. And also there is maybe some moments of the year, maybe I will ask that to Désirée, because France has seasons like US or something. Maybe according to the business, it can be a better season to visit France.
Yes.
Maybe that is something to keep in mind, because there are seasons that there is or really cold or really gray, or maybe there is a lot of holidays, because France also has a lot of holidays. And this is something that people need to know, because these school holidays affect many people who goes in holidays as well with the kids. So Paris, for example, that is the main center of business, when you come in the period of holidays, are not there. So you need, maybe to follow that, because it's amazing. It's true. It's just something that you don't get it. You say, how is possible that so many French people going holidays all the time? Is because they have a lot of holidays. So if you want to do business, you really need to follow the calendar to see when is the best time to get the appointment. So this is something important. And also, according to the business, what is the best time of the year? So good advices for somebody who wants to come and hear and look around.
Awesome. Thank you, Carolina. Désirée, your piece of advice.
Well, my piece of advice is also coming from the fashion perspective, is do some research before coming. Also, just as anyone coming to France, learn how to say bonjour. Very important to start off any kind of conversation, formal, informal. And so do some research, learn a bit about the business. Are your goods, the market demand for your goods? And that French people, it's a lot of people here, and it's a big country, and people are open and they love America. I mean, they love American businesses, culture, music, literature, films. It's a big market for everyone. So you just have to find your niche.
Awesome. And Catherine, we'll finish with you. Your piece of advice. You're on the other side of things, but would love to hear what you have to say to our participants today.
I mean, I don't know what I can add to what's already been said. I was smiling about the French people are very direct. Yeah, be prepared for people to tell you how it is. Personal story, I'm married to a French guy, and we have the funniest things that happen because I'm a Brit, although I lived in France and I do speak fluent French. Sometimes we laugh so hard at the way he will interact with people compared to the way I will interact with people. I think British is more aligned to the US. We kind of do a softly approach, and the French are just going to say it, you know, and it's not rude. It's just they're telling you like it is. So that's kind of one thing. But no, I guess I would say there are entities in France that are there to help you. I know we have some great contacts in Paris for the fashion business on the call, so that's amazing. But if you're in a different industry, if you are interested in not just Paris, because yes, Paris is going to be a fashion capital, but there are lots of other cities and areas in France that have different specialities. I can try and help you get in contact with the right bodies. There are chambers of commerce in France that will be able to help you. Mainly what I do is the France coming to the US, but I do have the ability to maybe make some connections the other way as well. There's an entity called Business France, who are the kind of government branch for import and exports in and out of France. So, you know, I'm sure there's a way of sharing my contact details here. If anyone does want to get in touch, I will see what I can do to be of any help. I think that's all I wanted to say.
That's fantastic. Well, guys, we're 2 minutes over the hour. I did say the hour shall come, but the power continues. Please know the power is within you to continue this conversation, connect with each other. There's a lot of stuff in the chat. We dropped a survey in the chat. Please use the survey and tell us how we did, what you would like to hear and learn as we explore more around the world in terms of global opportunities. Thank you, Désirée. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you, Catherine, for stopping by. We appreciate you, and we'll definitely see you next week. Next week, we're going to be talking to an actual entrepreneur who has expanded her business globally. So feel free to register for that, so that you can learn a thing or two in terms of ensuring that you understand how do you take advantage of global opportunities. So folks, until next time, same place. We'll definitely see you next week. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Ricardo.
Thank you, Catherine. I
Thank you
appreciate
Have
you
a
very
guys
great
so much.
much.
day.
Bye.
Thank you,
Desiree.
Ricardo.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Bye,
so much.
everyone.
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thanks,
Greetings
Mark.
from
Good to see
Dubai.
you.
Thank you, everybody.
Greetings,
Good
Dubai.
to see
Dubai
you
in the
too.
house. Awesome, awesome.
Yeah. All right.